What is it like to lose your childhood home? That is a question that I've been learning to answer over the past 2 years. On January 28, 2017, a chimney fire at my family house could not be extinguished and ended up destroying the entire house. The most shocking part of the whole experience is how little it affected me. I would tell a friend in school about it and they'd always be more disturbed about it than I was. While this reaction may seem odd to you, it might have made more sense if you had had the same experience. The process was very long. You could say it was a slow burn. It was like we were being eased into the idea that our house, as we knew it, was gone forever. We lost relatively little. I had time to move all of my technology and school books out of the house. Despite the roof collapsing and gallons of water being sprayed everywhere, our family photos, clothes, and even our television set survived.
We didn't really lose that much furniture. However, we did lose the very first couch settees that we bought for our good sitting room.
I did lose a MIDI keyboard, but in all honesty, I wasn't that good anyway. Maybe for the better. We were standing there for ages. At one point, I felt like tapping my watch and telling the firemen that it was getting late and we were gonna head. But most importantly with the fire, we didn't lose anyone. It wasn't a traumatic experience. I didn't have to leap over a crack in the floor or face choking to death on smoke. I didn't have to throw my parents over my shoulder and carry them out. I just had to call the fire brigade and wait while professionals did their job.
It has to be people first, because you can make a home anywhere once you have the people and the relationships. But the house or where you live is important too, because every house has its own feel to it, but without the people, it's just a bit of a shell.
Saying that, the old house certainly is not forgotten. I am not a psychopath, I think. That house has just moved from being a physical space to a mental space. I walk around and I remember where things used to be. When I think of birthdays with barbecues and backyard soccer, I feel a warm nostalgia that's as real as emotion as any physical space could evoke. The 2020 coronavirus quarantine has given me and my family more time to reflect on our new house than ever before. Apart from weekends and holidays, this is my first time living at home in over 3 years. There wasn't a lot of time for rumination after the fire. I was in the middle of leaving cert. In fact, I was just 2 weeks away from my prees. We lived in 2 houses before our new house was built and we got on with life just fine there too. What also made things easier is that the new house is just better. It has a different energy. It's inspiring, it's modern. I walk around and it feels like it's a minimalist rehab facility. It's so relaxing, so open that it's almost like therapy for the events that created it. The new house just has a lot of pros. It uses space a lot better.
It's a house for a couple without feeling too big, and yet it is very much still a family house with open plan.
Admittedly, 2 of the 5 children had to sacrifice their rooms. Holidays are now Christmas with the cramped, as 2 unlucky members of the family have to sleep on the floor. But I'm not complaining. I love my new desk. There's space to exercise. The fridge makes ice. However, our family will always have strong memories of what life used to be like in our old house.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, that's the city, look. My lovely calm room. Oh, I do remember that, look. I was thinking, oh, because I loved, it's certain things, you know, that you love, like I love those tiles. And they're so dirty looking now. It's looking at the photographs, you know, the old house was, you know, full of colour, things belonging to so many different people, and this house is quieter, less items in it, more minimalistic, calm. The year that we moved into the old house, I can remember, because we had just come to visit one evening, and there was quite a lot of work that still wasn't complete. And then we decided that we would actually stay the night. So we actually went to our very old house in Turnonock and just brought some bedclothes, and we actually went to McDonald's for a takeaway, and we actually stayed that night, and then we never moved back to our house in Turnonock. We stayed in this house, even though there were certain things that weren't completed. I think we might have had no heating. There's the music belonged to the children. Westlife for Deborah was usually blaring somewhere. Coldplay, probably for Killian maybe. Is it Rihanna for Ruth? Was there?
Yeah.
Rihanna for Ruth. There was that kind of music for that age group, so that was often competing with classical music that both Michael and I liked. It was very well decorated. I just liked the feel of it. It was always clean, decluttered, and a comforting place where you could go, and it was a quiet part of a very, very busy family house. Particularly at Christmas, it was used quite a lot. And I had a tradition at Christmas on Christmas Eve, when all the family were wrapped up in bed, to actually sit there with my cup of tea and an open fire and just spend a bit of quality time for myself, savouring just the whole joy of Christmas and the expectation for Christmas Day and the family all together.
Other members of the family were not as sentimental. Do you miss the old house?
No, to be honest with you, I don't miss the house in the slightest.
Do you miss the old house?
No, not one bit. Not while I have this one.
And there you have it, a family of sociopaths. Some time in solitude in my new garden allowed me to consolidate my thoughts on the event and the reactions. The house is really like a therapist. It sits there in silence, judgmentally staring at you, pressuring you to cop on and get real with yourself. Apathetic reactions like my sister's and my dad's are only natural. Losses have to be dealt with. People have to move forward. The future doesn't have Luke Murphy's, but it does have flying cars. That's a trade-off that most people will be okay with. So what's it like to lose your family home? Well, it's not as bad as losing your family, I imagine, but that'll happen someday too. For me, the whole fiasco is a shocking reminder of our own mortality. Like my old house, someday we'll be gone, and no one will care that much. People will have memories of us for a while, and then one day they'll forget to have them.